on the art of argumentation. The philosophers of our school have told us precisely what we need to learn in order to know how to practice logical argument. But when it comes to practicing it correctly in a particular situation, there we have no experience at all. Just give us a random person to engage in dialogue, and we won't know what to do with him. After asking the person a few questions, if we don't get the kinds of answers we expect, we throw up our hands and resort to ridicule or verbal abuse, saying, "He's not a philosopher. It just isn't possible to engage him in dialogue." Well, when a guide meets up with someone who is lost, ordinarily his reaction is to direct him on the right path, not mock or malign him, then turn on his heel and walk away. As for you, lead someone to the truth, and you will find that he can follow. But as long as you don't point it out to him, don't make fun of him, be aware of what you need to work on instead. Consider how Socrates behaved. He would compel whomever he spoke with to voice their views, and one interlocutor was enough, which is why he could say, "Everyone else can go hang. I am only interested in what the person I'm talking to has to say. No one's vote counts with me except that of my partner in dialogue." Socrates would lay out the implications of their views so incisively that, regardless of who they were, they would all admit an inconsistency and back off from it. Is a man racked by envy happy? Not at all. They're miserable. Miserable over something bad? But whoever heard of envy for something bad? Thus, he made him say that envy is pain provoked by something good. I mean, would someone be envious over something he cared nothing for? Obviously not. That is what Socrates would do. He would quit only after he had fleshed out an idea and explored its implications. He wouldn't just say, "Define envy for me." Then, when his discourse's interlocutor had ventured on a definition, say, "Wrong. Your definiens is not extensionally equivalent to the definiendum." Technical terms which are incomprehensible and off-putting for the layman, and which we can't resist using for that very reason. As for using language that would enable even a non-philosopher, depending on his view, to answer with a simple yes or no, well, we don't know how to engage anyone on that level. And what happens is that we realize that we can't do it and give up the attempt. Those of us with any discretion anyway. Most people are impulsive, however, and having committed to the thing, they persist, just making more confusion for themselves and others until it all ends in mutual recrimination. Now, that is the first thing Socrates was known for. Never turning dialogue into dispute, never introducing rudeness or invective, although he would put up with the insults of others in order to avoid a fight. And, if you want to know how effective he was, read Xenophon's Symposium. You will see how many fights he is credited there with resolving. Among the poets, too, one of the highest forms of compliment is conveyed in the line, "He could cut short a quarrel, however great, with his diplomacy." But Nowadays, engaging in logical dialogue is just not a very safe business, in Rome especially, because of course you can't do it off in a corner somewhere. You may find yourself approaching a senator, someone with money, and asking him, "Do you know, sir, to whom you have entrusted the care of your horses?" "I do." "Is it some random person with no knowledge of horses?" "Of course not." "What about your money and clothes?" "I don't hand them over to just anyone either." "And as to your body, you've already found someone to entrust with its care?" "Naturally." "An expert, obviously, in either exercise or medicine?" "Yes." "Are these the things you value most, or have you got something better than them all?" "And what would that be?" "The faculty that uses all of them, and assigns each of them their place and value." "You mean the soul?" "Good guess. That's precisely what I mean." "Absolutely. I think that is far and away more precious possession than the others you mentioned." "So then, tell me the steps you've taken to care for the soul. As intelligent as you are, and as politically prominent, surely you would not casually look on and allow the most prized of your possessions to be neglected and go to ruin." "No, of course not." "Well, if you have looked after it personally, did you learn how from another person, or discover the means yourself?" At this point, you run the risk of him saying, "What business is that of yours, sir? What are you to me?" Pester him further, and he is liable to punch you in the nose. I myself was once keen for this sort of discourse, until I met with just such a reception.